Are you listening? Damn. Yeah.
Welcome everyone. This is another episode of Boss Talks. I'm Kristine Drummond. We got Joel Lord here as well. And tonight we are talking about desperation. And guys, you are going to get thousands of dollars worth of value in this podcast. But all we ask is that you share this information with people that you love and care about. Anyone that you think would get value from this. We're not charging you anything, even though you would go to a seminar and you would pay thousands of dollars for this information. We're giving it to you for free, and we're going to drop some amazing truth bombs tonight. And I'm saying tonight because it's quite late tonight. We usually do daytime ones. It's nearly my bedtime, so hopefully we can maintain the energy levels for everybody. But I want to start off with a statistic, Joel, and I don't know if many people know this, but 77% of people stick to New Year's resolutions in the first week, but only 8% actually see them through. Now, I'm a personal trainer, and I don't believe in resolutions because no one sticks to it, and that statistic just proves it. But why aren't people sticking to these resolutions? Why aren't people sticking to their goals, do you think?
Because, because they would like their goals. They're not, their goals aren't a must. They would like to have the private jet, but they don't want it so badly that they're willing to put it up there with oxygen. They're not willing to, as Gary Vee says, bleed out their effing eyes for it. You know what I mean? Just how desperate are they for it? How much do they really, really want it? I think in society and business and in general, everyone wants to be the rock star, but no one wants to do the 10 years before they are the overnight success. Everyone wants to be Bill Gates, but they just don't know how much work he did before he was that success. There has to be some sort of cause and effect there. There has to be some work to create the goal, and you're not always going. Motivation's not enough. Passion's not enough. Your vision, I really believe that you've got to have a massive, massive vision to drag you through the hard times, because you're going to want to quit. 75 challenge, the 75-day challenge that I'm on. There's been some days when I got rained on every single freaking time that I was thinking, why am I doing this? But I have to do it. So I want the end result. I want what I'm really after, and that is the killer mindset. So I'm desperate to get that. So,
Well, I guess what I see out there, and a lot of people will be able to relate to this, people get desperate when they've had a scare. So we see it when it comes down to people's health. People get really comfortable. They don't take care of themselves. They don't take care of the only vehicle that they've got to live in until they go to the doctor and the doctor says to them, you've got cancer. And then all of a sudden they get really desperate and they clean up their diet. They go on these big juicing fads, water diets, all these other things. And it's only because something's pushed them enough into that desperate mode. So we see it so often when it comes to people's health. But I want to give you an example of when I was really desperate, when I was a functions manager in a job in Canberra, and it was someone's wedding day. Okay, so picture this, the day of your life, most important day, and it comes to the bridal dance, right? And we've forgotten to hire the musician for the night. And the bride was very, very upset. There's no piano player there to do their bridal waltz. So guess what I'm doing on a Saturday night at 8 p.m? I'm ringing like a desperate mofo, trying to find a musician that's sitting at home that can come in to this exclusive club to play music for these people on their wedding day. Do you think I was desperate? I was so desperate. I was getting abused, but I stayed calm, and I'm like, I can do this. I can absolutely pull this off. I can find someone that can come in. Now, we didn't find a pianist, but we found someone that came in. I think he was a guitarist and a flutist or something, and he came in, he was able to do the same song that they wanted. However, we did not get any raving reviews from that couple when they left. They probably still talk about that, the disaster and their wedding day. And I use it as motivation. And you know what? It actually helped me get a greater sense of attention to detail and things like that. But that was so desperate, and I was so stressed. You know when the hair at the back of your neck really stands up because you know you're just like, oh my God, you're in that flight or fright mode, you know, and you just have to perform. You just have to pull it out because you're so desperate to turn this situation around. So that was one example. I'm going to share, you know, another one later on. But do you remember any?
I'm super surprised that you just didn't like start playing the music yourself. Like it's like the Kristine I know would just get up there and start entertaining, like tell a couple of jokes. Or
I can play hot cross buns on the piano. Maybe I should have done that.
Some chopsticks, yeah. Oh, look, yes, I've had many times where it's been the fight or flight mode for me. And, you know, I've had successes in business and I've had failures, and there was not so long ago I had a financial disaster, really. There was a point where I had a mortgage, no income, no business, and 3 kids and a wife that I was responsible for looking after. And I had to find a way to make it work. And I was so desperate that, you know, Grant Cardone says you'll do whatever it takes. Like I would have, like there was no end of the earth that I wouldn't have gone to make that work. And, you know, like I was super, super desperate, like to work it out. And because I had such a short time frame before I really lost everything, like lose the house and everything like that, I found ways to create money. I literally ended up with a business and property and everything like that. And I didn't have money, but I just had to make it work. And like, it's really surreal now speaking about it, because, you know, you get back to a place of comfort and you do lose that desperation. And like this podcast that we're doing now is like, really inspired from Ed Milet, his podcast that he's done recently. And it actually reminded me that, hey, maybe I'm not desperate enough for my goals at the moment. Maybe this is like us looking at ourselves a little bit in this podcast. You know, like I've got big goals that I'd like, you know, you can have it all on the vision board, but, you know, are you really desperate enough to get off your backside and say no to Netflix and say no to distractions and everything like that? And like I've got a really great set of strategies that we'll share a little bit later to really help you create that hunger and really get focused on what you want and eliminate distractions. But yeah, like when I don't need a bigger lesson than nearly losing your house when you think everything's going fine and you've made it financially, and then you hit the bricks, you know, and you either decide to go back to mediocrity and get a job. And, you know, I did get a job, but I knew I wasn't going to be there for long. And it was just a stepping stone for me. But I had to find a business because I needed to create more wealth. I had to get back there. And it was my identity that I was a successful business guy, and I had to get back there. And I was desperate to not be known as that guy that worked at the tip. So that I was super desperate for that. Like, I don't know how many more cards I need to stack to motivate me. I didn't need any more. That was it. I was just out of there. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I relate to so much of that as well. And desperation can be so powerful. And I think that what happens is we get so comfortable. We get too comfortable with life, and the desperation just kind of disappears. For me, especially when I came into this profession, and you know, and Tom, I was reliant on him. He was earning really good money doing his fly in, fly out. So it wasn't that I needed the money. So I was just kind of plodding along. I was treating it more like a hobby than an actual business. And it wasn't until, you know, my daughter kept hugging a phone every night to say goodnight to her daddy. This one night in particular, she was distraught and was just really missing him. And I was just like, you know what, enough's enough. I was bawling my eyes out, and I said, just give me a figure, babe. Give me a figure that will, you know, help me bring you home. And he just threw this figure out there thinking there's no way she's going to hit that. But you know what? I got bloody desperate, and I got so hungry. And when I got hungry, I became fearless. I became so fearless that that fearlessness became stronger than my fear of failure. And I put the blinkers on, and I didn't care what anyone thought. And I just stopped judging people, and I just went for that goal. And, you know, later that year we hit that goal, and I was able to bring him home from his job, and he was home as a full-time dad for 7 months with the family. And we just had our second child. So that for me was one of the defining moments in my career, where desperation was, it took a defining moment. It took a shift, like something happened that caused me to get into that desperation. I think that's what happens for a lot of people. Like, I don't know if you see this, but I see this a lot where I'm meeting older women, and they've been in a marriage or a relationship for like 40 or 50 years, where they've relied on the partner, or they've worked in the partner's business.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden the husband goes, I want a divorce. I don't want to be married to you anymore. And these ladies are in their 50s, 60s, sometimes 70s. And then they're like, whoa. And they've got no super. They've got no financial stability, no financial independence. And then they get really desperate. And that's where, you know, I really want to give people the skills and also the shake up. We want to shake you up and wake you up on this podcast. We don't want you to wait for a scare like that to happen. We want you to take control of your life. Stop living so bloody comfortably, because that's not going to allow you to step into your power, to step into your greatness. So, yeah, so we really want people to go, you know what? Am I just content and comfortable with life? Could I be doing more? Is me playing small serving anybody? Is it serving me? Is it serving my kids? Have I settled? Or am I ready to just go, you know what? Something could come along, and we call it the feather, the brick, or the Mack truck. You know, the universe is always sending us messages to see if we're paying attention. And usually they send it as annoying feather. This message keeps coming up, or something it might be an injury that keeps, you know, injuring you, or it might be something, or bills just flooding in, or whatever it is. But the universe is always sending us messages to see how we react, and what messages we're going to take and grow from that and evolve. So are you going to take the reins now, or are you going to wait until you get hit by that Mack truck and you've got no other choice but to go into that desperate mode? Like, I think I'd rather just get hungry now and create the life that I know I'm capable of creating, rather than waiting for a scare to come along.
So, like, exactly, 100%. Like, be inspired. Don't wait for desperation. I'd rather be in inspiration. And the reality is that, like, 98% of people wait for that massive Mack truck to hit them before they do something. So, like, you can make that choice right now to change it. So, like, for the people out there that, like, don't believe that, you know, that it's in them to be desperate, or they don't believe that they've got what it takes to have greatness. Like the story that Ed Milet said on his podcast, like, if you're at a 3-day event, you're in the other side of the country, and someone walked in and tapped you on the shoulder and said that, like, your kid or your family member had been in an accident and you needed to get to the hospital right now because it was a grave accident. And, like, as he said, and I'm going to reiterate this, I wouldn't wish this on anyone. And there was a no leave the conference rule, and there was all these obstacles in front of you. Like, you had no way to get back. Your flights had changed or no flights. There was, like, all this stuff. Does anyone on the podcast here really believe that they couldn't get back to their kid? Like, you would do anything. Like, you'd go steal a car. You would do anything. There would be nothing that would stop you, not heaven or earth or anything would stop you from getting back to your kid, to your family member. So, like, I know that's pretty dire, but, like, we can turn that into a positive. Like, if that's in you now, why not use it to empower your life right now? You've got it in you. You know that response from that story. I know everyone that's listening is feeling that now. You know, they've probably got goosebumps just thinking about their kid and what they would, like, we'd go to the ends of the earth for our children, right? Well, most of us would, and I think, you know, any decent human being would. And just, you know, like incite that feeling now, incite that power inside you now. So, yeah, that's.
I've got a story similar to that. When my little fella couldn't breathe properly, and I had to take him to emergency. I went to see just the GP, and he said, I think you should probably get him up there to emergency. And as soon as I got him in the car, his health went down, and he was really struggling for air. And, you know, you have that desperation just overwhelm you. And I was prepared to go around the roundabout the wrong way. I was prepared to go on the other side of the road. I could see the hospital, but it was peak hour traffic. And I thought, I'm going to do whatever I can to get this kid to that hospital. And it's so true. Imagine if you applied that focus and that desperation and determination to the rest of your life. Imagine how much shit you get done.
Are you feeling like empowered now? Are you
Absolutely.
feeling like I'm thinking of some goals that I could attach that to right now?
Yeah.
And you know, like, so one of the techniques that I want to share is like something that happened for me recently, right? I got on a coaching call with like a really powerful coach, like one of the world's leading ones. And she actually asked me like, well, why are you here? Like, why are you doing what you're doing? Why are you building that business? And, you know, one of the things I said was like, well, it took me a while to get it out, like really. But once you got to the truth, it was like, I'm so far away from loser town, like the loser island. And I've, you know, I'm in the spotlight. So many people in my network know that I'm doing this now. If I disappeared now, I'd be completely full of shit. And for me, being full of shit is like my worst nightmare. Like I think there's enough people holding that mantle out there, and I don't want to be one of them. And I actually see like that's one of the, like, when you really chunk down in coaching and you find out if the next worst thing, like if it's so bad that you'd rather be dead, you've really chunked down to the real meaning of why you're doing something. So like I literally said, I'd rather be dead than be a bullshit artist, you know? So like she said, you need to hold on to that and use that. And yeah, she changed my life in one call. It was really great. So, so like for me, she found what I was desperate not to be. So she found that, and now that's in my conscious mind, and I can use that to trick my mind when I want to stay comfortable or when I want to tell a story to myself that I'm not worthy or whatever. Like I can just clout that out, because what's more powerful is that why am I here? You know, so like anyone on the podcast that knows me is now going to use it against me, but you know, it's totally fine. Use it, because I intend to be at the top. So
it's a rare quality though, people that stay true to their word. You know, that is a really tough quality to find in people. So you should be proud of that. It's amazing.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, well, like Ed Milet says, like the first thing that you need to do is learn to keep promises to yourself. So you've actually got some integrity with yourself.
Yeah.
And that's been a big thing in my entire life. Like I just remember how many things I've been able to do with desperation because I've given my word. You know, like you and I put 100 people in a room, like with some help. And I remember making that promise at the start, and you could see that I was desperate. I was like, I was getting to the point where I was like, I really don't give a shit who I upset. I'm putting 100 people in a room. I'm going to upset. After that, they can all be angry at me, but I'm just going to do whatever it takes to do that. And we did it. Yeah. Because we got desperate. You know?
We did.
So,
we did.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I want to give a few steps, like, because in Ed Milet's podcast, he does give us 4 steps.
Amazing. Yeah.
And, you know, and really talks about how you can use desperation to help you get into that power. And the first thing he says, you need to know where you are. So know exactly where you are in the current moment, in the current situation, so that you can get clear on where you want to go and become more intentional. And when you work out where you are and then where you want to go, and you've got that focus and intention, like repeating it over and over again. And that's where like the visualization and the daily, like I love writing down my goals daily and having the vision boards and things just prompting you all the time, that are, because let's face it, like life's going to come along and it's going to try and steal your focus. It's going to come along and it's going to be that Mack truck, or, you know, kids are going to, I was going to say annoy you, but the kids are going to shower you in love. And, you know, there's things in everyday life that's going to try and steal your focus. But if you get really laser focused and really desperate on making that, like, it's a non-negotiable, you get so hungry, like you'll be so surprised by what you can actually accomplish. And then he said the third thing is, what's your plan? What's your strategy to stay focused? And you nailed it before. Like, make the promise to yourself, but then go and tell the world. Like, what's your goal? Once you start telling people, and you've been telling everyone that you're doing that 75 hard, which is making you even more accountable. I've been telling people that Joel's doing the 75 hard. So even more people know about it now. God. So you're going to look like a big failure if you stop. So there's no way that you can stop, because you're a man of your word. Yeah. And this is how you show the world that you're a man of your word. And how many people are going to want to do business with someone like that? Or how many people are going to want someone like that with those qualities in their life? So to all the listeners out there, are you someone that stays true to their word? Do you tell you something, you're going to tell yourself you're going to do something, but then you're like, oh, no one's going to know if I don't do it, and then you stray off. And I've definitely done that before, whether it's with a healthy eating program, whether it's with an exercise workout. Like even this morning, I did not want to go for a run this morning. I was like a little hissy-fitty kid. I was chucking a little internal tantrum, trying to think of every excuse I could of not going for a run this morning. And it's very rare that I don't want to go for a run. Yeah. But this morning, just exhaustion, and I was just like, okay, just put your shoes on. Let's just get out the door. Let's just start with that. Got out the door. Okay, let's just take a run to the corner. Okay, I made it to the corner. Okay, it's not that bad. And then I continued on. Halfway, the sunrise was so amazing. I had to stop to get photos and a few selfies and all that. And then turn around and come back. I actually hit the deck today. I actually had a stack on my run today.
Oh, my God.
Listening to this amazing audio book. And I think it was the universe just saying, did you get that last point? Like, you need to take note of that. But, you've got to take that first step. You've got to get hungry. My goals to be fit as F by 40. That's my hashtag fit as, you know what the F stands for. By 40, I'm 40 next year. I want to be my fittest. I want to be mental clarity. I want to be everything, And so my goal this morning was bigger than my excuse. And I just remembered my goal. I had that mental clarity. And that's my strategy, is if you can get out there and work out on the days where you don't want to, it makes it so much easier on the days where, and you'll outperform yourself. So the last step that he sort of spoke about was, eliminating distractions, which we spoke about, getting rid of Netflix. We don't watch TV. We watch documentaries. I know you're the same as well. But eliminating, detoxing your life. We spoke about this earlier tonight, getting rid of people that are not serving you, that maybe are not in your corner, that have got your back, and really associating yourselves with people that are lifting you up, that are cheering you on and want you to succeed. And, that's who you want in your corner. You don't want these neg ferrets. You don't want these people that are holding you back, that are getting jealous because you're outshining them, or that are trying to get you to dull your sparkle, and keep you really, really grounded and safe. We don't want people like that. We want the people that are going to raise you up, make you lift your standards, make you, step into your greatness, that have belief in you, before you've got belief in yourself. That's who I want in my corner. And so you want to eliminate the distractions and eliminate the people out of your life that are distracting you as well. And then the fourth thing he said was, what's that immediate first massive action you're going to take? And we see this so often where people become self-development junkies. Yeah. They go from self-development course to the next one, to the next one, to the next one, to the next one. They want to change, but they're not prepared to do the action, to take the massive action or implement what they've learned from that. So him, Ed Milet, just breaking those four things down was amazing.
It's huge
for people who want to, start changing and transforming and getting more success in their life.
Yeah, just get really outcome driven. Really focus on what your outcome is for what you're doing. Like my coach, he demands that when I'm going to an event, what is my outcome? Like, what are you going there for? What is your mission when you go there? And he says, like, you're going to an event. Who do you want to meet? Who do you want to get in front of? What sort of people do you want to speak to? Like, what specifically do you want to learn? Like for him, he wanted to get really great at public speaking. So what he did is he looked for any opportunity, activated his reticular activating system to find out any opportunity he could speak. Yeah. And he ended up speaking in front of 300 people at a Tony Robbins event because he just was looking for the opportunity. So, getting really, really laser focused and really I just like I really, really believe that people need to just be honest with themselves and know themselves enough. Like, I know that if I stack the deck against failure, like I put as many barriers in against me failing, I know that if I was just sitting on my own, the 75 hard challenge, I'd have a lot less chance of doing it but I've told you, you've told all our listeners, you're telling everyone, just tell Kristine and she'll tell everyone. But I'm actually in a group of guys that are also doing it, and we support each other, and also there's a bit of like fun sledging in there. And, you know, if I miss a day and I go back to the day one, if something happens and I stuff it up and whatever, I've got to go back to day one. I'll just start the 75 again. And I don't care, because this really feels like a way of life to me now. Like, I'm really, really loving what it's doing for everything in my life. Like, Annie Priscilla's really, really smart for putting this together. But, you know, if I actually just punked right out, they would probably put me on social media. They'd probably just sledge me on social media. And I want them to do that. I've actually put myself in that situation where that if I actually let that be an option, they're going to hold me to a higher standard. You know, you'd be like, get your ass back out there and start at day one again. Like, and that's who you want to be around. So you want to eliminate all the people that would, you know, because how easy would it be for me to go and find a group of people who goes, oh, look, you made it 15 days. That was really good, mate. That was really good. You know, you did your best. Look, you lost a few kilos. You know, that was really good.
I'll make you double it.
Yeah. You made me wear a weight bloody suit. I hope you're taking that down to like to where you're moving to, so I don't have to see it again. But yeah, you know, like, but so many people, I know so many people out there, like there's people that have been in our group that did make it one day, didn't make it one day, you know, and there's people that, you know, make excuse and they want to substitute, and that's the rule. There's no substitution. So for your goals, there is no substitution. When you decide the steps, you need to do them, and you need to find people that hold you to account. Like, I know that in my business, my health and wellness business, that there would be people that are going to message me and go, so how about them results? And I'm like, okay, you know, I know that's going to come. So it motivates me, and I want that there. I don't want the understanding. I want to be held to a higher standard. So if you've got friends like that, maybe spend less time with them. I'm not saying be as hardcore as me and just go, all right, see ya. But, you know, it was funny. We were talking about friends before. I'm like, oh, cool, Lee, I've got like 4. But, you know, all jokes aside, that's because there's not many high performers out there. And I know that I want to bridge the gap between Ed Milet and myself. I know I've got a long way to go, and like, I want to get there. So like, do you think that guy's making excuses? Yeah. Do you think Annie Priscilla's making excuses? Do you think, you know, the people, you know, like the Lauren LaHaves that are out there that are gracing the stage with Tony Robbins, do you think Tony Robbins makes excuses? Like, hell no.
And you know what? Peer group does come into it a lot as well. And you've just nailed that. And if you really, like, I want our listeners to get this, because if you really think about it, guys, and you think about your friends, technically, I reckon you would probably you'd be able to count them on one hand, true friends. Like, I'm talking like picking the phone up at 3 a.m. saying, I need your help. Would you come? Like, how many of your friends could you actually do that to? And this actually happened to me not long ago when my son was in hospital, and I'm just like, oh my goodness, who am I going to ring? No, they'd be in bed. No, they wouldn't come out, you know. And I went through this catalogue of friends in my head, and it was literally like 4, maybe 5 people that I could rely on, that I knew would be there in a heartbeat to come and pick up, you know, my daughter and her friends from the hospital so we could stay overnight, you know. So have a think about that, you know, and that's a really powerful thing. And then go to those friends and just tell them, ring them and let them know how grateful you are for that friendship, because we don't often tell our friends that enough either. And it's not until we get into those desperate situations where we need to rely on them that we really go, oh my God, like, I'm so grateful for them for that. So I don't know where I was going with that, but I just want the listeners to know that gratitude is a massive, massive part of this. And, you know, when I moved to the Gold Coast 9 years ago, I was so desperate to change my lifestyle because I got out of that corporate world and I didn't know one person up here, not a soul. And I moved up here with the intention of creating a better life, a better lifestyle. And I got to work meeting people,
Now you know everyone.
Now I know half the, like 500,000 people that live here. Well, half the people, but I love that. I love that I've been able to create this amazing community. But the people that have been attracted to me, they're awesome people that live up here. I know there's awesome people everywhere, but the people that I've attracted since being up here are like, they're go-getters. They're positive. I've got so many amazing people, and I'll get to say goodbye to quite a few of them on Sunday that are coming to our farewell party. But it was because I was so desperate for that better lifestyle, and I was so desperate to create the community, because I grew up in a small town. I wanted to create that same sense of community up here, and I was able to do that out of desperation of not knowing anyone and yearning for that connection, and you can accomplish amazing things when you go into that desperate mode. When you become hungry, it's unbelievable what you can achieve.
And faster than you think. Another thing that Ed Milet said is, like, if we both lined up for a race, and you thought it was a 100-meter sprint and I thought it was a marathon, who's gonna go to the target quicker? Like you, but most people out there believe that they're running a marathon, and don't get me wrong, like, life is a marathon, but if you attack it like it's a sprint, you're going to get there a lot quicker, and you've got that hunger and that desperation to get over that 100 meters. You're gonna move there a lot quicker. So what I'm saying is, your goals are actually not as far away as you think they are. And if you take what we've said in this podcast and what we've shared in here, which is like a lot of personal stuff actually, and like strategies we're using currently, and you're going to get to that 100-meter sprint. You're going to get to that goal a lot quicker. But if you're not desperate, you're going to run it like it's a marathon. It's going to take you a lot longer.
Yeah.
So how long do you want to take? 10 seconds to get your goal, or do you want to take probably if I was running a marathon, like 5 hours. So, it's up to you. So get desperate, and go after it. Like, go after it. Find ways to become desperate. Find ways to become focused. Find ways to cut out the stuff that's stealing your attention and stealing your dreams. And, if you want to be filthy rich, then be filthy rich. If you want to spend more time, like, giving to the community, then do that. But just get desperate to make it happen. Yeah. Otherwise, because like, one day you'll run out of time. Mm-hmm. The things that you want to do, like, if, Kristine loves paddleboarding, like, how many 90-year-olds are paddleboarding realistically in the scheme of things? How many 70-year-olds are doing the things that you're waiting to do now? Like, not many, like, do it now. Do it absolutely now, and don't believe the hype that you have to wait 40 years to get that gold watch, to retire, to do all the things you want to do. Like you say, like, maybe you might not even have a hip left or something, you might not be walking. You don't know. Tomorrow's not promised. So go after it now. Get desperate and don't wait for the scare.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're not just talking to business people today. We are talking to athletes. I mean, get desperate. It comes down to that last minute and you're a goal down, or you're a kick down, or you got to unleash that hunger. You've got to come from that place of desperation and want it more than your excuses to push that extra mile to make it happen. So we're talking to you guys, and I love talking to athletes as well. And when I was training athletes, one technique that I always used was, if a game or something, like I coached a lot of basketball athletes back in the day. You feel so old when you say that. Back in my day. I'm starting to say that to my kids, and it makes me feel old. But, a game would go for 40 minutes, but I would make them train for at least 60 minutes. So they would go over the required, game time, so that I could get the best out of them. So, so that when it did come down to those desperate times, I knew they had it in them. I knew they had the energy, the fitness, the stamina to be able to pull it off. we're talking to mums. We're talking to stay-at-home mums today as well. This podcast is so relatable to you as well, because what happens if you are in that situation I spoke about earlier where, you know, maybe you do go through a divorce? What's your backup plan? You know, don't wait for that scare. Don't wait for the moment. And hopefully this doesn't ever happen to you, but let's face it, 50% of marriages, and it's getting even more than that, are ending in divorce. So I didn't ever think I was going to get divorced, and there you go, it happened. So we never know what the future holds, but, you know, have that backup plan. Get desperate to set yourself up, you know, to have that financial independence. So if something does happen, you're not in that situation where I see a lot of women where they're still living in the same household with their husbands, even though the relationship's dead and they're not, you know, together.
Yeah.
The partners don't have a choice to move out, you know. So I don't ever want to get to that. And I don't ever want to get to, you know, my 70s or 80s and have to rely on the government either to say, here, this is what you're worth every week. No way. I'm not waiting for that either. I'm getting desperate now. I'm doing the hard yards now so I don't have to, you know, be in that situation later on. And my kids are always my driving force, you know, being the example for them. Like I come, you know, I always am in desperation and inspiration because I want a better future for them, and I want to show them the most amazing world that we live in and give them the most amazing experiences. So that drives me as well, and that's always in the back of my mind, and it's on all my vision boards, and, you know. So we're talking to loads of people today, you know, and if you're in business and you're comfortable, then what do you have to do to get uncomfortable? What do you have to do to take it to that next level? What are you going to do? Because your clients could cancel tomorrow, or your clients could go bankrupt, or, you know, anything could happen. And then you're going to be in this desperate mode and you're not going to be able to pay the bills. So start having these backup plans, start getting desperate to grow, to really push yourself to that next level.
It's amazing. Like being like, it's the retirement one really gets me, because you can either be desperate now or desperate later. Like, I think it's pretty desperate that people get to retirement and then they're forced to downsize because they can't afford to live. Like, people are out there calculating how long they're going to be on the planet for and hope that they don't run out of money. Like, that is absolutely, like, not on. It's disgusting, and, you know, no judgment on the people themselves, but this is not on. And it's like the system and the way the way we're brought up and the way we're funneled through school and the way we're sold all these, you know, these ideas, and the fear that's in people's minds is, like, got a lot to answer for. Like, people just, oh my goodness, like, it's my worst nightmare to be told no for money, or having to, like, I used to see it in the IJs all the time. People would come in and go, oh, well, salmon's gone up $1. That's another thing I can't have. You know, I can't have something that's, you know, because it's gone up $1. It's absolutely ridiculous. And anyone listening to this, my final words on this, honestly, is if you aren't 100% committed to your goal, and I mean, if you're 99% committed to your goals, you might as well throw them in the bin now, because you're sabotaging yourself. I can guarantee that times will get tough, and that 1% where you allow yourself to tell a story where it's okay not to go for that run in the morning, or it's, you know, pouring rain and you, like, I literally had to go buy new shoes because I, like, the day before I left, my shoes got completely trashed. And then I got down to Nowra and like the Shoalhaven where I was on business this week, and I got rained on every damn day. And I had to go and do meetings, and I didn't have any shoes, so I had to literally go buy shoes.
I don't think you've told the people. They're probably saying, why don't you just train indoors? But one of the things is you have to train outside at least once a day. So you got to get out.
I do it every day because I want to make it twice as hard. So I'm being a hero. But yeah, like, you've got to be 100% committed to your goals. Like, so if you say you're going to do something, like, I've got clients that I task, and they've got to send me photos of that they've done the work, and I'm onto them straight away. Like, I'm like, where's those photos? And they're like, oh, you really want me to see them? I'm like, do you want the life that you said you wanted on the call? Yeah. They're like, yeah, I do. I'm like, okay, well, where are the photos? So yeah. Anyway, that's me. I think it's been a great podcast, and like I said, like we said before, like this is stuff that you go to conferences, you pay thousands of dollars for, to spend weekends with people to teach you this stuff. This series we're doing is really to create you to be the boss of your life, to really take the reins of your life, so you don't get told no because of money, so you don't miss out on the wealth of a relationship, the wealth of, and being wealthy in all areas of your life, holistically and spiritually, mentally, everything, like, and hopefully financially, and let's use the powerful word, definitely financially. So, yeah.
Amazing podcast, and we'd love to hear from you guys as well, from our listeners, because we want to hear what are some of the topics that you would love us to talk about. What areas in your life would you love to improve? Because it's called Boss Talks, but because we want you to be the boss of your life, So we would love to hear from you. So drop us some comments, shoot us some messages, so we can make sure that we're hitting you on the subjects that you actually want to hear. And we've got some interviews coming up soon too, don't we? We've got some amazing people to interview.
Late flights buggered this week's one up.
It's all good.
But yeah, they're definitely coming on. And follow us on social, like Kristine Drummond and Joel Lord on all the platforms.
Yep.
And yeah, like that's it. Smash it.
Awesome. We'll see you on the next podcast.
Damn. Yeah.